Hello, Boris Pravisham here. Welcome back to the Nidd Whitelist server. Sal and Anubis is here with me. They're being idiots in the chat. It's taken me half an hour to wait for them to stop talking. Not that I was provoking them or anything. So, just a very quick tour of what I've done, because I do have other things to talk about. I have some pretty blue lights. I really like the blue lights with the vents in the background. From here it's not quite as good, so that's why there's that blue box up there, because I think I might need to make that a slightly lighter blue. It's to try and stop the lights from sticking out. See how you can see the light? Because I want like a blue light just sort of fading through. I've done that before by having the lights on the side of the walls, and I tried it here, but it didn't seem as good. But yeah, so I think I might need a lighter blue, kind of like the color of the blue that's just around the edges of the lights. A slightly lighter one, so that way it reflects the light a little more readily. So when you look up there, it kind of looks like the entire thing's just glowing. To be honest, I don't really know if that's what I want in this warehouse. I kind of wanted the warehouse to look a little bit gritty to start with, but yeah, I like the lights, and I was also toying around. So you can see this thing here. It contains the component line, which runs up there behind the vent and comes out the top there above this window, so that it can feed into the next room over there. I was toying around with lights on top of this, and got this sort of glowing blue, so when you stand back, I have to be in the right spot for these lights to be on. The lights everywhere, that's a bit loud. The lights everywhere aren't done yet. But yeah, so you got that kind of blue, just kind of, yeah, I quite like that. I'm still yet to be decided on whether that thing should be just sticking up there. I didn't realize how big it was going to be to have something like that. Apparently I can't count. Anyway, I also, so I haven't done anything down there with those assemblers. The industrial control room, which I don't know if I'm going to keep that sign either there or the name of this. Oh, there's gravity. Yeah, I added gravity, which is in here, actually. I don't know if that's really the right place to be putting it, but that's where it is at the moment. And this is just a place to hold, that's a lot of spam. So a place to hold the, oh, I've got to be clicked off here, idiot. A place to be able to control all of the industrial stuff, so I can turn off my refineries like that. I think I'll leave them on. Sal's doing a lot of refining. She's I'm actually almost out of space, I think, for, so if we go inventory and then what is it, Incold, cargo. Yeah, so that one's about half full, that one's full, that one's full. Yeah, we're actually almost out of space. We've got a lot of stuff. Sal's been, well, I guess that's what happens when you record a dozen episodes a week for the Partners in Grind series, all about mining. Yeah, but I had to. I was always intending on having something like that. So that's what this room's for now. And there's one last thing that I did, which was to seal this entire room. So I actually worked quite a long time this week, but I spent a fair amount of it just sealing it, because there was a couple of gaps that I couldn't find. But all in all, now this entire room is sealed. Obviously that's not where it's going to stay. That's just there to be able to tell whether it's sealed or not. But I'm going to keep that there for a little while, kind of like, canary in coal mine, to let me know whether or not something I did caused the seal to break, because I won't be putting oxygen in for a little while. I still haven't done anything in this corner, so that's still to come. What I'm going to do today, let's go grab some stuff, is nothing much important, like building-wise. Whoa, I keep changing my mouse sensitivity by accident. There, down here. Yeah, I've been finding it easy to do building episodes with other people, because it gives you someone to talk to when you're actually doing the building. Do a little bit at the start, cut away, do some building, and then come back. I'll leave that open anyway. I'll be back and forward. So out here, this is another change. So this is the hallway that took Anubis and I about an hour to do that. Yeah, that episode didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped. And anyway, this was supposed to be like the mainframe sort of computer room with the programming blocks and the timers. Primarily the timing blocks would all go in here. But then I ran out of energy because I realized I'd only had one small temporary reactor. And yeah, so I had to put another reactor down. I thought I might as well do this properly. I put two big ones there feeding into the system. I don't know why that corner's like this yet, but yeah, they're fed into the system all properly. I'm also intending on doing some solar panels, and I don't know if batteries are really useful on a station. To be honest, I don't even use them on ships, even though everyone says that they're really good and that I should be, but I still haven't been. Anyway, I'm thinking of continuing this hallway, because of course hallways are more important than, timers. And I was also intending, this is something that I've been trying to record for a little while. I've recorded various different versions of it a few times, and basically every time decided it either wasn't worth uploading because I'd screwed it up or not done it very well, or I never recorded it in the first place because the questions I was asking raised, the answers I was giving raised more questions than... yeah, this is a good way to start the episode that I've been having trouble with. But anyway, let's start with what... Because the Nidd has changed quite a bit since... It must have been about a year now since it's existed. It's changed somewhat, some ways for the better, some ways probably not, and so I'd like to get back the things that it wasn't. It kind of dropped off in popularity. We had quite a few people leave when Space Engineers kind of all, went to hell. Because for the most part it was just a bunch of Space Engineers players, and when we couldn't justify having things like a public Space Engineers server because the game wasn't really working as we'd hoped, and there's a thread on the discussion group, Steam discussion group, which I'll link to in the description, that has a few more. We've been discussing that. It's what led me to think of this. Yeah, so we lost quite a few people that were just here for the Space Engineers, and yeah, so it kind of made me think what the purpose was of it, and I am intending on making like a proper, what is the Nidd introductory video for people, but Mia's making me wait until October because I made a joke in the first one I did that I'd do it again next year on the same day, and he wants to hold me to that. I don't know whether I'll actually do that or not. I just realized if I do this then I'll cut off the amount of space that's here. Maybe I should I don't know if I could really round this off. Maybe if I go forward a few blocks. We'll try that. We'll go forward a few blocks and then sort of angle a bit more, then go forward a couple more blocks and angle it more. I don't think I'm going to be able to get something round here, but we'll see. I didn't really measure out where that was supposed to start turning, so it's a good thing I messed that up. Anyway. Yes, so what I described the Nidd as, sort of in an analogy, would be if you... Mia's done a really good job with the server. It actually works. I want to leave that there, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they're on the same level, so if we go 4 across here, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll turn here for a few blocks. Yeah, I'd describe it, I guess, as... if you imagine a LAN party, which I've never actually been to a LAN party. I've not known enough gamers in real life to be able to ever, especially at a time where LAN parties were actually a thing. Of course, now they're a little redundant, because why would you go to a LAN? If you all lived in the same area, then if you were gaming online, you'd have maybe 50 millisecond ping to deal with, if that. So I don't know if I don't know how popular LAN gaming still is. I don't know if I'd go to one. I guess just for the company. I may have to move that back too. You see, curves and angles and stuff are fun in a voxel-based game. But yeah, I describe it as that, where just a group of people that generally have some similar tastes in games, but not necessarily so. But mostly just people that happen to stumble across each other and enjoy gaming with one another for no, particular reason. And just like with a LAN party, you need someone to host it, someone to make sure that the location will work, that everything's set up, to make sure that there'll be refreshments when you get there. I imagine Mia would be the refreshment guy. I don't know why, but I kind of like the idea of him serving drinks. Although I'm imagining him also in a tuxedo. I don't know if many people wear. I mean, like I said, I've never been to a LAN party, but I'm assuming people don't wear tuxedos or have essentially butlers serving them drinks. But if the Nidd were ever to have a LAN party, like the mere butler would be serving drinks. Yeah, just so everyone knows. But yeah, you'd need someone to host the thing, to make sure it all runs smoothly, and I guess that's what we do, is just provide a place for people to do things that wouldn't otherwise be possible without an extended group of friends. Not necessarily people that you actually consider friends, but people that if you were in a multiplayer game with, you'd be able to convince them to do things the way that to do fun things that wouldn't be possible with strangers. I guess would be the easiest way of summing that up. And it is a little bit difficult if we don't all have like one main game, which Space Engineers was, and I really wish could be. I don't want to. I say this every time. I do go on about the state of the game a bit too much. So just to put it simply, it's not really ready for prime time yet. I really hope that soon Keen gets on to making this game work in the ways that our imaginations. I know it's very hard to fulfill the imaginations of science fiction fans, but in a way there seems to be. Is that, I think this is my connection that's the problem at the moment. Okay, we're back. It was just temporary. Yeah, I know it's hard to fulfill the imaginations of science fiction fans, but I know that this is all in vain, and that's what a sandbox game is. It's very much about the journey and not about the destination, because no one started a Minecraft world 5 years ago expecting it to actually matter. You do it to pass the time, to meet new people. That's why it's such a spectacular multiplayer genre, as well as just to be a little bit creative for the sake of it. And so I know that everything that I'm doing, it's kind of a bit of a mental trick that you play on yourself. Everything you're doing in a sandbox game, particularly like Space Engineers, is all going to disappear one day, and that it's not going to matter. This does not matter. But I kind of play a trick on myself to make myself think that it does, so that while I'm doing it, I can enjoy it. And knowing that at any stage the world might need to be reset is a little bit of a bummer. I'm continuing to play it because I really like the game, but I don't know if the game was even a touch worse. I don't know if I'd stick around in it. because of that sort of the constant impending feeling of the constant feeling of impending doom. That's how that sentence should have gone. So I really hope that, very quickly, preferably this year, it can get to the stage where we can have an effective public service, so that we all have a place to come in Space Engineers together. We can do some more things that are a little bit, I guess, just a friendly place for us all to be. I'm getting caught. It does kind of feel like we need a place in Space Engineers to be. Either that or to find a couple of other games that would be really good for this. And that's not to say that it should only be Space Engineers, not by a long shot, but just to have a common thread that we can all be behind. But anyway, that's all a long way of getting onto the topic of a Nidd event, which I guess is, our equivalent of a monthly LAN party. And just like, a group of friends, I never want anything to feel like it is a chore, which is why I make a lot of jokes about Mia, but I do worry that sometimes he's doing too much work. I know that he is doing too much work, and I'm hoping that he at least finds a little bit of joy in it, because it's a difficult thing to balance, making sure that things actually get done and being able to enjoy them. Oops. Oh, no, I got it the right way around. But, I never want anyone to feel as if what they're doing is a chore, as if it's a necessity. I do want to try and make the place feel like we're just a group of... I guess, that playground feeling of being in school again, where you've got the same group of friends to turn up to with the same group, set of stupid, immature jokes, and, that... I like that kind of idea. And I don't want it to be too much work for anyone, otherwise, why do it? I don't want this sort of feeling as if we're trying to provide a service, and that's why things sometimes aren't on time, or things sometimes don't happen. And but at the same time, I don't want that to be a constant thing, so that people just lose faith and don't do that, because that's why I haven't tried Roid Grab again. If you don't know what Roid Grab is, I guess it's a bit more, it's between a game and a mini game. It's not one or the other. It's just a game I came up with within Space Engineers. It takes about 2 to 3 hours. 2 teams on either side of a map with some asteroids spread in the middle, and the goal is to place in the time frame. I think we said 2 hours. The goal is in the time frame to capture as many of the asteroids as possible by placing a beacon on them and trying to steal them off the other team, that kind of thing. The whole capturing asteroids thing came from, I guess, when you try and come up with a game with combat as its core, you immediately, or at least I immediately think of, what do people fight over? Territory. On land, territory's a fair bit easier to kind of define, but in space, in the 3D, it's the 3D nature of space, it's a bit harder to define territory. After the course of 2 hours, who holds more area? You can't really say. So the way to get around that is to try and to kind of introduce control points, and have people, like the was it like Hamburger Hill kind of thing, try and capture and hold these things as long as possible, and the person with the most at the end, or some other similar criterion, another similar criterion, then they win. I think I'm going to like this whole way. I'm glad Anubis convinced me to keep it this size. So that's where the asteroids thing comes from. And the reason why we haven't done a third one of those, for those that don't know, we did a first one. It worked out all right, but it was a little bit boring because it was the first time we tried it, and some of the rules I came up with weren't the best. We had a discussion and changed rules here and there, and the second road grab, it went really well to start with. Drakol and Mike, they did a really good job, but the map and having enough stuff in there for us to explore, and the rule changes meant that it was a lot more action-packed, because the first one meant that there was really no point in attacking for the first, well, pretty much until the last 10 minutes. There was no point. You put all your eggs in that last basket, because that was the most strategic thing to do. But it made for a fairly boring thing to participate in. It was still fun. It was just not as action-packed as I was hoping. It was always supposed to be a slower, steady, sort of suspenseful, strategic game that slowly built up. But there's a line between suspense and boring, and the first one sort of edged more towards the boring side. But yeah, we fixed that, and it was going really well until all of a sudden every grid in the world was deleted while we were playing. It was about an hour or an hour and a half in or something like that, and every player-made thing just disappeared. Drakol thinks that probably had something to do with auto trash removal that we had on, but we never really confirmed what that was. And it was disappointing, because it was going so well. There were plenty of people there that were really interested. We actually had 2 full games planned. We did the first one and then thought, well, it was so... I was just sort of so frustrated and annoyed by it that I didn't want to do the second game. So no one else seemed to carry on with it, so it didn't happen. But yeah, I haven't planned another one, because I was intending to do quite a few of these and kind of refine the rules so that people could actually get good at something like that, a short game that could be done in the time that it would take to do a UHC that kind of thing, and we could do it often enough so that people could actually get good at it, and we could have some strategies turning up, and we could refine the rules until it was something everyone liked. But I haven't done a third one for fear of kind of ruining the chance of that happening, because if we stuff it up for a third time, I don't know if people would continue to turn up. And I hope that people would continue to try, and that realize that everyone's just a bunch of morons trying to organize things for people to play. I guess that's a better definition of the Nidd. It's just a bunch of morons. I think I'm going to do that. I'll put that on the website. I think I'd get in trouble. Should I? No, I won't put that on the website. But if you know that's what I think about you. You're all morons. Anyway, I would. See, this is why I wasn't recording this episode, because every time I got stuck at this point where I didn't know what I was talking about or why. But I mean, that's a fairly normal feeling for me. And I very much am the sort of person who... Wow, that was loud. I very much am the sort of person who starts a sentence and then just, find out where we're going as I say it. That door's open. Did I leave that door open, or is Sal in here? Or even worse, Anubis? Well, I think I've talked long enough. In the next episode, I think I'm going to talk about a proposal for another Nidd event, which is in Space Engineers, and I want to try and open it up for people to hear the idea and try and think of problems before we try it, if we even try it, because it is a little ambitious. So that's what I'll be talking about in the next episode. But thank you for watching this one. Goodbye.